Hi, this is Jack Gannon doing the second of the weekly presentation responses slash discussion. This week I looked at a presentation on Adolf Tolkachev, the billion-dollar spy, presented by Edward Reyes Nunez, and he, I think, did a very nice job. I had never really heard of Tolkachev before, and it was interesting to get that perspective, especially with how influential he seems to be. I'll answer the discussion questions he laid out first, and then I'll respond to some questions of my own. The first is whether or not he was vital for the U.S. intelligence effort. He was definitely beneficial, but I don't think vital is... I don't think his contributions deserve as strong a word as vital. From what I understand, from the presentation, the MiG was kind of a paper tiger, and this follows a kind of pattern by the Soviets in the Cold War, minus possibly the space race because they definitely won that one. But they would have technology and then talk it up to the high heavens, and then the United States would get scared and then build something even better than what the Soviets claimed they had. And this pattern seems to hold with the MiG. And don't get me wrong, Tolkachev's contributions were definitely extremely valuable. It is nice to know literally everything that the Soviets were doing in that one field, but were he to never have been born, I think we still would have won the Cold War. So, beneficial, yes. Vital, probably not. As to your second question on motivation, I do think he was motivated by revenge. Nothing in his life seems to suggest he was ideologically motivated. From what I understand it, his parents died, or his parents-in-law were Jewish, and Stalin was anti-Semitic or pretty close to, so the whole rootless cosmopolitan thing. So, yes, I do believe that he did not like how the Soviet machine treated himself, his family. He grew up in what is now Kazakhstan, which was not the highest ranking of the Soviet republics, so I think that experience might have also influenced something. And the motive of revenge makes the amount of time he spent trying to contact the CIA and jumping through those hoops, I think that makes it far more likely that he was motivated by revenge as opposed to some kind of nebulous ideological reason. Then for your third one, let me just refresh here. How did the CIA assess him as a risk or a threat? I think he probably chose the worst way possible to go about approaching the CIA, minus jumping in the middle of the street. He approaching American agents with information, as you said, was a favorite tactic of the Soviets to A, waste time, B, feed them false information, and C, figure out how they do things. I think the CIA was definitely very cautious, and I think it would definitely take him giving them actually decent information to let the CIA move past him as actual threat. Kind of as a side note, I did a brief Wikipedia thing, and there's a part where apparently the official historian of the CIA says that Tolkachev was in fact a dangler, which, I mean, the manner in which he contacted the CIA was definitely really suspicious, but there's no possible time wasting or counterintelligence justification that could justify leaking literally all of your flight programs. That just does not make sense to me. So I think the CIA assessed him as a threat, but as time went on, they realized that he was serious about giving information. I think they kind of warmed up to him. And then finally, the last question, which was a little ambiguously worded. If you say adequate, as in, did he do the job he set out to do? I think he did. He did eventually get compromised and executed, but from what I understand, that wasn't really fault of his own. Some other ex-CIA and current CIA kind of turncoats, they ratted him out, and then he got removed, executed is the word I was trying to say. And like the only spy that I've really read deeply about is Jonathan Pollard, and he just kind of had the personality of kind of loving the spy life, where he sold information not only to the Israelis but to basically anyone who would listen. He suddenly came into a lot of wealth. He suddenly came into like a lot of expensive habits, and Tolkachev, this was not. He seemed kind of a very, almost like a sleeper cell agent for us, where he was very kind of nonchalant, would go about his business, but then, as he said, would photograph documents and pass them over to us. So I think both his performance as a spy and his ability to shake the KGB was adequate right up until forces outside of his control made it that it wasn't. And then some brief questions of my own. If you want to answer these, feel free, but of course you're not obligated to. I'm curious as to what ethnicity he was, because his parents-in-law were Jewish, so that would be kind of a strike against him, but there was definitely a kind of Russian bias, especially if he was living in Moscow in the USSR. So learning his ethnicity and kind of his, circumstances of origin, I think would be ideal to really nailing down his motivations and exactly how much revenge he wanted to get. And then the forged pass situation, I think, was interesting. I'm curious as to what exactly happened there. From how you described it, it was basically to check out a document from your house, or from his work to his house. He had to basically put a pass there to prove that he was the one who took it out. When the CIA forged it, did he throw someone else under the bus? Was the pass for some other guy who had to take the fall for that, or was it am I misreading the pass system, and was it just a blank pass that he had? I am kind of curious as to how they actually accomplished that. And then finally, he mentioned that he basically worked in avionics and radar and what have you, kind of like aerial electronics. And I was curious as to how the CIA actually used that intelligence. I mean, obviously they passed it on to our military guys, but to me it seems that the plane building part isn't necessarily the most valuable part of that intelligence. To me, it's like knowing exactly what the Soviets are doing. Probably some like jamming or counterintelligence or something, but I find it hard to believe that the Soviets were that far ahead that we could, by aping their program, could become even better than we already were. But yeah, I enjoyed that presentation. I look forward to hearing your response if you so desire, and have a nice day. Thank you.